Welcome once again to my channel. My name is Fusu Godwin, I'm a marketing professional and a marketing trainer. In today's video, we're going to look at 4 must-read books for closing sales, or 4 must-read books for every salesperson that wants to close sales. Top sales professionals read at least 1 book a month. In fact, it is believed that about 80% of these sales pros read a book every month to keep their skills sharp. One thing about sales is that, and even about business, is that skills can fade without due practice, right? So it is important, as a matter of fact, to get to understand the fact that books can give you, as a salesperson, fast knowledge so that you can also be able to close. The first book I'm going to talk about is titled "To Sell is Human" by Daniel Pink. Daniel Pink's book looks at how stories can overcome specifications and features when pitching as a salesperson. He believes that stories in pitches or in sales can help boost recall by up to about 22%, according to memory studies. The book also further talks about the fact that human beings are also that nature that at times need narratives and sometimes even crave for narratives that stick into their memories. So as a salesperson, what this book can also teach you is that it can help you structure your storytelling and pitches. So he talks about the fact that structuring your pitch with a clear problem and how your products will be able to solve that particular problem. And this may lead to a happy end, as he says in his book. He believes that if you are pitching, it's also important to make use of case studies as well, and not only just bullet point of features. He believes that sharing a client's journey can also, as a matter of fact, sort of like mirror the fear of that particular prospect that you are dealing with. In fact, he believes that setting up a 3-part arc could also help you. So you set up the struggle, you show the solution, and then you celebrate the success. Right. And Pink talked about how Apple uses pitches made of stories that comes with some kind of an emotional hooks. The next book we're going to talk about is Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. This interesting piece of book goes straight to talk about rejection, which is one of the biggest issue in sales. The book actually tackles rejection straight on and boot by boot. He believes that each no can be turned into a fuel for growth and not at all as an obstacle. If you remember in my previous video, I always say that take no's and rejection as a form of data. This book also talks about the fact that no's are data that can help sharpen your pitch. Hitting 50 calls a day to build a strong and a tough skin. So if you're a salesperson, 50 calls a day is not a joke. A lot of salespeople are a bit lower and slower when it comes to cold calls. That means that people are a bit afraid, or people fret when it comes to cold calls. The book goes out and hands out scripts and routines that can help boost your output. In fact, top sellers hit 100 contacts a week. If you read the book, you get to understand that top sellers hit a lot of contacts, at least about 100 contacts a week. So you can have that pipeline flow of leads. Steady leads flowing through. Blunt also pulled from his own sales rise and his own sales experiences. And he believes that targets can be hit without crashing. Targets can be hit without crashing. The next book I'm going to talk about is Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. The book sets out 6 rules that help a salesperson to get a yes answer, or to get yes answers. It talks about reciprocity. Give something of a value first, and some others will give back to you. So give the prospect something that is valuable, and as a matter of fact, the prospect would actually also give back by patronizing your product and services. Scarcity, as a matter of fact, is another thing. Real deals create a sense of urgency, right? Another thing the book also talks about is authority. It is important that you show the prospect that you have that expertise. This will help you gain trust. And then there's also consistency. And then also linking, that is ideas. And then you talk about social proof, where he believes that the choice of groups can also guide others to make a decision. So he talks about social proof. When other people see other people using a particular product and they're happy with it, they are also likely to also gain that interest to get that particular product. He believes that salespeople can use this particular technique early in their sales calls. For example, by sharing valuable free tips so that they are able to build interest. Right? This can lift close rates by 30% and can also reduce objections. In fact, the book reshapes how professional salespeople pitch daily. The last book I'm going to talk about is How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a book by Dale Carnegie. Carnegie tells stories about bonds and how stronger bonds can lead to referrals and can also lead to a long-term win-win relationship. The book goes to talk about how trust can boost customer retention. Right. It is believed that trust can boost customer retention by 50%. So it is important as a salesperson to also think of building a win-win relationship to ensure that you get repeat business, rebuy, modify, rebuy, etc. Pick one principle each week so that you'll be able to build ties that last. Right, so try to build ties, and this makes you earn the status of an advisor. The book also talks about being a good listener. The book also talks about how being a good listener can also help you as a salesperson. And he believes that building real partnerships involves building on care and trust. So thank you very much. These are my 4 books that I think if you're a salesperson out there and you need to read, these books will help you. Thank you very much for watching.